Night Terrors Green Lantern issue 1, Jeremy Adams writing with Eduardo Pansica on the art. So this is actually one of the ones that I was referring to earlier, where I think the writing, as far as like dialogue and all that, is fine. This is Jeremy Adams who's doing the current Green Lantern book. It feels like he obviously has a handle on the character. But the actual events of this issue, which is just a couple of pages in one scenario, and then we move on to a different nightmare version of something in Green Lantern's either history or potential future. I found this to be kind of a worthless.
This issue is nothing.
Yeah.
There is no substance to this issue.
It's just nightmare fluff, and I don't think all the tie-ins are like that. There's a couple that I am going to be more positive on, but I think this is a really good example of one where I like the writer. I like what he's doing in the regular book, and I think the art is solid.
It's good.
Yeah,
I realize. I think it's like the third or fourth page of the issue, maybe fifth, something like that, where he's at his father's funeral, and the dead body comes out of the coffin. It's a full page. Just from a conceptual level, whatever. Right? I kind of don't really. It's like I say, it's a nightmare. It's all meaningless. But just from an art level, it looked kind of nice.
I think the thing with this type of story is that when you typically do this in a regular story where you have like a nightmare issue or something like that, it's because thematically it ties into what the character's been going through anyway. And it's only been 2 issues, admittedly, of this run, but nothing in this feels like it's tapping into something that Jordan's worried about or going through in the main story. That would make it feel a lot more worthwhile. That would make it feel like
it's issues like this that make me resent the event for taking away the main book, because it feels like it's just a waste of time for 2 months.
It's just fluff. There's no denying that. It's him, seeing this horrible vision of his father coming out of his coffin. Then it goes into Carol being mad at him, which leads to him landing next to Abin Sur. But in this nightmare, Abin Sur is sucking the willpower out of him to fuel himself.
Yeah, and it's hard to blame Adam Sur. Like, yes, he wrote this.
Oh yeah,
pointless issue.
I don't blame him at all.
It's clearly because he was told you have to write something, and he had nothing for this because he had a story mapped out. He'd obviously pitched his story. They'd approved it. He'd started work on it, and then they went, "Oh, by the way, 2 issues of Nightmare Fuel, please." And he went, "Oh, wait, what?"
Yeah, the only minorly interesting thing that kind of happened in this, just from a meaning behind it kind of way, is that when Abin Sur is sucking energy from him via the ring that Hal's now wearing, is that Hal cuts off his finger to get rid of the ring. And I thought, okay, at least I can see this idea that there's a deep fear in Hal that the ring in a way has kind of ruined his life, and that it has sucked everything away from his life. There is a little bit of meaning there that you can glean from it. I can see what he's going for.
You can, but then literally the very next page, he's just got the ring and he's talking to the Guardians.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
Another scene all over again.
That was the thing. And honestly, seeing Hal next to the crashed Abin Sur again, it's not
kind of like the Pearls.
It's not quite at Pearl's level yet, but it's verging on that. The amount of times we have seen that moment of Abin Sur sitting in that crash ship is getting a little on the comical side. So, I'm not going to say I instantly hate your book if you put in that scene or a callback to it, but tread lightly.
Yeah, and it's at the end. It's his greatest nightmare. Next time Parallax, and I'm almost like, okay, maybe there's something to do in that next issue because Parallax is a very personal fear for him, right? He has that history. But then I saw how this issue tapped into all of Hal Jordan's history so far, and I'm not excited.
Yeah, the cliffhanger was a bit of a dud for me here, just because, this entire scenario at the end where he's in Onoa, he's with the Guardians and Kilowog and stuff, and then obviously, Parallax is coming out of the battery, and that's the cliffhanger. I'm like, we just cut to this random scene after other scenes that didn't connect to it. I don't feel any through line that makes me excited for where this is going. So, like we said, I don't blame Jeremy Adams here at all for this issue. I think he was told to do nightmare stuff for 2 issues. It didn't fit into his run in any way, shape, or form, so he just had to come up with something.
I think that there's a slight critique of him as a work for hire writer in that he couldn't come up with anything on demand, right? In that that's part of the job description to some extent. I would
say within reason.
Yes, but ultimately, let's say, it's like I'm giving him 10% responsibility. Like, he could have done better. He could have thought of something better. That's part of the job. But the other 90% is editorial, forcing him to do something that he clearly had no plans for, was outside his pitch, was outside his job scope when he took the role. Yeah, it's just not good.
Yeah, that's the thing. The art's good. I think his voice for Tal and everything, it reads smoothly. It's just nothing.
The basic craft, like you say, of the dialogue and the flow is fine.
Yeah, all that's good. All the technical qualities of a comic book are perfectly good, if not even great in some places, arguably. But
Pansika's a great artist.
Yeah, but the actual meat and potatoes of like what is happening, what is the point of it, it just feels like it's just like, we're going to do that thing that those big anniversary issues do by doing significant moments of Hal's life, except we're just going to make them shit because they're evil now.
What it is he was like, what do I do? And he took inspiration where everyone takes inspiration in times like these, clip shows of a network TV.
Yeah, effectively. And don't forget,
he's just gone like greatest hits, slap them together, change them up a bit.
Since Green Lantern normally has a backup, so does this. That seems to be the case for all these Nightmare books. If it's replacing a regular book that has a backup, it will also have a backup. So here...
That's what this book needed. More mediocrity.
So here we get this story about Sinestro. What's interesting about this, at least, and it's the only interesting thing about it, is that there was that tease in issue 1 that Sinestro was hiding on Earth amongst people. And this is the first time we've seen that be followed up on. So that was like, for like one couple of like panels at the start of this, I was like, oh, this is interesting to see this again, at least. And then it just kind of,
I really hope this isn't what that was seeding.
I don't think so. I think this is it. I think this is just...
Yeah,
nightmare stuff.
I also think the same, but there's just a small part of me that worries that he threw that into the first issue once he knew this was coming.
Nah, I think he's got bigger plans for Sinestro. I think this is just...
Yeah.
What can we do for the backup in Nightmares? Oh, we'll do a little Nightmare Sinestro 2-parter. I think that's all it is. And I have really nothing to say.
It's a team on this as well. It's not Adams writing it.
No, it's Alex Segura writing with Mario Focillo.
Given that it says the nickname is Fox, I'm going to say Foxillo.
Oh, maybe, yeah. So, I mean, this is basically just Sinestro facing a younger version of himself who sees his older version as weak and pathetic because he's not feared anymore, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
There's not really much more to it.
There's, again, we already had problems with the main backup in this book for having no meat and just not enough, not in the quality sense, but just not having enough pages to do what it needed to do. This is more of the same, except now it's something we're also not interested in even more because it's just more Nightmare stuff.
Yeah, I have nothing really to add on Green Lantern Night Terrors. What are you rating it?
This is going to sound particularly harsh, given that it's the sheer writing and art is still fine, but I think it's a 3 out of 10. I think it's just a waste of everyone's time, and if you buy this, you wasted your money. I'm sorry.
It is a bit harsh. I think the raw craft does get you a bit higher than a 3. I'm going to go 4.5.
So much higher.
Well, no, because
it's still not good, is it? Right?
No,
yeah.
It's kind of a worthless story, but the raw technical craft is there. I just don't want to quite give it the 5, which I was thinking about, just because I feel like I still have to send a message, right? To quote the Joker, it's about sending a message.
Yeah.
Because all good life decisions come from deciding to quote the Joker at any given point.